was trending in the wrong direction again. And it was the same stuff we were seeing. Missing open looks all over the place, unable to get to the basket, started cold shooting, completely turned it around. This was Kemba's game tonight.
Yeah, rough start.
I mean, you're right. Tatum, Bobby, you're right. Tatum was the man the whole way through. But to me, Kemba's a headliner here.
But that's the positive takeaway I'm talking about. That's the kind of positive takeaway that outweighs a whole lot of the negatives. And for someone like Kemba Walker, it goes a long way. I mean, after he made the shot, the way Tristan Thompson embraced him, I think just said it all. I mean, obviously, he's been through it. Whether you want to call it, crisis of, confidence, or whether it was, I don't know if he was necessarily second guessing himself, but obviously that was a big spot to be in, going 1 for 8 or whatever it was that he had that cold streak that night. And getting out of that and finding some rotation, finding some momentum. I mean, that's going to be most important for the Celtics all season long. Like, Kemba Walker getting the most out of Kemba is gonna go a long way for the Celtics team.
Where are you, John? Like, this is my thing on him is I keep saying the efficiency doesn't matter to me. Like, it just doesn't matter right now. I know he was 36-6 coming into the night, but if he's getting shots up, finding them throughout the flow of the game, defending competitively and scoring, I think we're talking, somewhere between 15, 19 a game from him. That's what they need.
Which is a good bit less than what you really want from him.
Eventually, but right now,
I don't know that it goes up. What I'm saying is, if this is what you have,
it went up tonight.
If this is what you have from Kemba, and this is best case, you'll take it, no question about it. It was a good, not great game, but it's certainly fine considering we've had a couple of 1 of 12s and 2 of whatevers. So yeah, you want to see him hit closer to 50% of his shots. You want to see him continue to take his shot. The team needs him to be a more consistent offensive player than he's been to be able to get to where they want to go. I don't know. I mean, do you guys
24 points? I mean,
this is all-star level Kemba Walker. I don't think so yet.
It was if you're getting 24 from Kemba every night, but let's not forget
absolutely.
Jaylen Brown didn't play tonight, so obviously somebody had to take those shots and step up, and so he did. I'm very happy with how he played. I mean, he did have a cold start. I will say, side note, I did bet Kemba Walker over 19 points in this one, which hit, so no big deal. But I was nervous a little bit the way he started. But he came around late on that massive play down the stretch there, and then he hit the 2 big free throws. As you know, you want him at the line late in game, and he came through, rolled around the rim, and made it interesting. But listen, that's the Kemba Walker that, honestly, I wasn't sure we were going to see. I'll be honest, completely honest. And if you watch this show, I didn't think he'd even be playing right now. So I'm certainly not going to complain with 24 points and a win on the road with.
We're not complaining, but what do we want to? No,
I'm not complaining. I'm the opposite of complaining. I'm impressed. I'm happy.
Neither am I. You'll take this effort, but what are we saying here? Like, the whole entire game, the announcers are like, he clearly doesn't look like himself again. Like the first half, then some shots dropped, and we're like, okay.
Well, the problem is, I mean, and I've been saying this all along, John.
He's been like that for a long time, John. Like, but look at the stat line. I mean, look, 24 points. What are we talking about? 9 of 19. That's what, 47%. 4 assists, big shots down the stretch. Like, what other Kemba are you looking for?
Good defense.
He was your second best player.
Best second best player.
Yeah, that's what he is.
And so, like,
the guy in Boston because he has these 2 rising stars, next to him.
That's such a great point.
But there's no complaints. Zero.
And that's where they are now. We know he's never going to be an all-star again. He already knows he's not an all-star this year. He admitted it today.
That's a little different.
Yeah. But I'll say this. You got 2 players in front of him. We've talked again and again about him adjusting to that next role that's going to be here for him. So if he's somewhere between, as you say, all-star John, and this whole other crowd who's trade him, he's done. They're stuck with him. He's just wasted piece. How are they ever going to get rid of him?
What does this mean?
You can be somewhere in between.
85% of our chat last game was Kemba Walker is trash, trade him.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you.
We're riding up and down this way.
Yeah, your minions.
I'm playing it down the middle. Kemba looked pretty good.
No, you proved it.
He's been inconsistent. What are we talking about? These are facts.
But my point is, you can have ups and downs from him because there's other players that are far more important than him. He's still going to be a massively valuable piece because he can give you 15 to 20 every single night in that third man role. It doesn't matter how efficient it is. And that's why I keep going back to the playoffs. Like everybody looks at his postseason as a disaster, but Brown had exploded, Tatum had exploded, and it was enough to ride the team there deep into the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, certainly if he's better than he was in the playoffs, they probably make the finals, which is what you would like here, and that's what he's trying to work toward right now. But he's so much closer to being, what we loved about him in that Philadelphia series, I think, than what other people are talking about with, how can we trade him? How can we dump him? How can we get rid of him now?
So John's obviously moving the goalpost because he was
I love having Kemba here.
He was way more negative on Kemba Walker, going into the season, as was I. But what? What are you shocked about?
I mean,
what have I said?
Nothing. I mean, what are we talking? Danny tried to trade him.
I didn't like that.
But exactly, and we don't know the facts.
Danny's like, hey, on the DL, this guy's knee is messed up, and I don't know what we're gonna get out of him, and he's not an all-star anymore. Can I trade you an all-star?
The value of Kemba is not trying to trade him. That's two completely different things.
Wrong. That's not what he wanted. He wanted a different player.
Before the season even started, what did Danny Ainge say? What we find out about Kemba this year, it's gonna.
I believe everything Danny Ainge says.
Listen,
that was reported in such a provocative way too.
We're still in the middle of finding out what Kemba Walker still has left in the tank. This just started a week ago. He just came back.
Right. So that's where I'm at. I'm like,
it's a positive sign that he's going in the right direction. Like I don't get why this small sample size is making everyone like it's a foregone conclusion that Kemba's lost it forever.
If the Celtics,
he drops 24, he shoots nearly 50%, hits a big shot down the stretch, and John's like, nope, I don't want it. Come on,
John's
man.
Let me put this up.
Before.
If they could have traded him, would you wanted them to for just like a replacement level point guard?
I was on board for the holiday.
I don't even think it's fair enough. I don't think right now it's fair enough for you to answer that question. I really don't. Because it's not.
Was the holiday trade even they got 4 first-round picks for him?
The reason we had this conversation because it was theoretical. We don't know if it's right or not. I just said I'm selling the stock in Kemba because I don't like the smaller point guard with the knee problems, and I just don't think it's. I would.
You were there before we knew.
Yes.
That Kemba Walker.
Before we knew that he had the issues. Yes.
Right. So then once we found out that he was hurt, well, it's like, okay, now it makes sense why they were maybe trying to shop him, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff wasn't necessarily for any other reason because of that. However,
he off the playoffs last year. That's before they even shut him down.
However, I think the way he's played since he came back, while inconsistent, which I assumed would happen because he's getting himself back into game shape. He's still, want to make sure the knee is at a good place. He's taking games off. He's playing less minutes. He's not, maybe getting into his rhythm. Tonight, he definitely played the most minutes. I don't know if it was by far, but easily the most minutes he's played since he's returned. And he, looked good down the stretch. We already talked about it. He hit the game. So, listen, the Celtics won this game without Jaylen Brown. Kemba Walker stepped up and was your second best player, who will always be your second or third best player now because of the leaps and bounds that Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum have taken. So, I'm completely fine with the way he's playing. I think he's going to continue to improve. He's going to get the minutes up there and get more into a flow of things. And the more he plays, the more fluid or flowing, I should say, the offense will be with him, Brown, and Tatum in there. So I'm fine with it. I'm happy. I'm very close to apologizing.
I'd love to see it. I love Kemba. I like the guy. Like I said, we've talked about this before. He literally saved everybody from
doomsday,
the misery that was Kyrie.
Absolutely.
Saved it.
But he's doing more than that. He's not just like anti-Kyrie.
I know, he's not just a smile and anti-Kyrie. He's still a good basketball player.
That's why he was a perfect combination.
We're literally talking about, does he belong in a conversation to be considered a member of a big three, or is he more of a supporting player? This is the level we're talking about. Is he up near that level, and will he get there again? Or are we accepting more of a support role? This is literally the only conversation we're having. We're not saying Kemba's bad.
Okay. Is that a Kemba Walker thing, or is that a Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown thing? Because in order for them to
you can't get to that level now. Right. They're so far gone. Yeah.
Right. So, of course, Kemba Walker's numbers are going to take a little bit of a hit there. I mean, that's just, again, it goes back to
he's a solidified three. We talk about moving goalposts, guys, and this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
Everyone
they're moving the goalposts of the other
when
two.
the season began,
John.
when the season began, before Kemba's knee thing came up, it was Tatum is the 1, Kemba is the 1A, Brown is the 2, Brown is the 3.
Brown's the 4, actually, right?
Jaylen Brown was the 3rd option. Okay, now Tatum and Brown are in another stratosphere that we can't even hint at Kemba being anywhere near them, and Kemba is
fine though.
At 18 points a game. We've already moved the goalpost from preseason expectations down.
That's not because of Kemba, though. That's because Brown moved into the All-NBA.
We're now saying we're okay with 17. We're saying we're okay with 17, 18 a game. And if we are, then that's fine, which is counterbalanced by the ascension of Brown and Tatum to a yet another level. But that's still less than what you were expecting early in year 2 of a 4-year deal, coming off an all-star starting performance last year. It's not exactly what you bought in for.
No,
right?
for sure.
20. No, 20 a game.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's not a good thing he's hurt and he's dealing with this and all this other stuff, but it does line up with him needing to move to a lesser role and contribute in more of a tertiary way, which so far, I mean, we're talking about what, 10 games back so far, 9 games back. Like he's moving at a rapid pace. He's ahead of schedule and coming back, which we've already hashed out, and fitting into this role tonight the way he did. And, you know, even against the Warriors, I thought he was pretty good in that game as well.
Yeah.
Like he's moving ahead of schedule now. And as the minutes ramp up, which, like, you know, Jimmy mentioned that a few minutes ago, we're only talking about 3 games of him playing real minutes. So he can't even get in the flow in a lot of these different games. So, like, it's just it was way too soon to dump him for Isaiah and all the stuff other people are saying. John, I'm not throwing that all on you, but, like, there's just been this conversation around him, like they need him to be an all-star again, which they don't, and that he's way worse and way more done than anyone could have imagined, just because he couldn't start the season, which had more to do with the season starting early than Kemba being behind schedule and not ready to go. If you lined up the date of Martin Luther King, he would have been solidly back in the lineup if that was the starting night. So, like, I just don't know, like, where all this emphasis of dumping him and what are we going to do with Kemba and this idea that he's a liability. Like, even if he's below your expectations, he's nowhere close to being a liability.
Nobody's saying that.
Yes, they are everywhere. We had a podcast.
I'm not.
We had a podcast on the network. I just posted a segment pregame with Sean Devaney saying, no one in the league would take this contract right now. This guy's poison.
That's right. .com gang, what up?
Wait,
no one said he's poison, but that's more of the commenters thing. They want Isaiah Thomas over this guy.
Well, Sean, I mean, there's still probably
saying that rationally. Like, who are we listening to?
Yeah, listen, John throws a lot of comments up that he probably shouldn't. People are that crazy to say that, but do they really mean it? Probably not.
We're trying to improve the dialogue here.
Is Kemba tradable right now? I still would say no. I don't think.
Would you trade him? Would you trade him for a fair return right now? Whatever you think that could be.
No.
Well, what the hell does that mean? I don't know.
What's a fair return to you? Just whatever you can imagine is a fair return.
No. It's like whatever.
I'm not trying to trade him. I'm not trying to trade him.
How about you, John?
What am I trying to trade him for?
Would you trade him for what you consider a fair return?
For Kemba?
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me some options.
Schroeder.
Yeah, Bobby, get back to us with an example.
No, I mean, just whatever you – I mean, for John, it was Drew Holiday, which I don't think was realistic. I think that was the Celtics optimistically hoping for that. But, like, yeah, Dennis Schroeder or someone like that.
Okay, optimistically.
Ooh.
And when that happened, I said I would absolutely do that. And then the Pelicans said, no freaking way are we doing that.
Right. But and they got a crazy
we were too good for that trade. The Celtics were too good.
I was saying I wouldn't do that. I thought Drew Holiday was overrated. Maybe I was wrong.
Let's move up.
Let's move up. So underrated that he was overrated.
They ended up getting 4 first-round picks from, or whatever it ended up being.
We're right now literally having a debate about whether or not Kemba is a 23-point per game guy or an 18-point per game guy. We all think he has value. We're just simply talking about whether or not we're ready to. punch his ticket to the All-Star game after one pretty good game. And I'm saying, no, I still want to see consistency. I want to see him knock down more shots, be a more efficient scorer, okay? That's pretty universally considered to be the critique of Kemba right now is he's just not efficient. He's not efficient. He's not an efficient scorer.